This last unit will be quite different from the other three. Up to this point in the course, we've taken a fairly straightforward chronological approach, presenting the history of Texas as a series of facts that need to be understood and analyzed. But in this unit, I want to fundamentally challenge the notion that history is a body of information that never changes. In fact, the way we view Texas history has changed in some really profound ways over the years. Sometimes that's because new facts come to light, but more often than not, it's because our perspective changes. I'll give you one obvious example. Texas history traditionally had a very strong Anglo-centric male bias, revolving around the exploits of white men. Sam Houston, Stephen F. Austin, David Crockett, and so on. But as we've become a more inclusive society, one which recognizes the role of women and people of color, this traditional view of Texas history has been substantially modified. Native Americans, Mexicans, African Americans now play a much more central role, and I hope that's been apparent in this course. So in this unit, I want to give you some idea of how our understanding of Texas history has changed over time. And if we can accept the fact that Texas history has changed, then it's reasonable to suppose that it will continue to change, that future generations will look at the history of the state differently than we do today. So to illustrate this point, we've come to the Brigham Monument on the San Jacinto battlefield. Now, this monument was built in the late 19th century, and it's a memorial to the 8 Anglo-Americans who died at the Battle of San Jacinto in 1836. It's called the Brigham Monument because the names are listed alphabetically, and Benjamin Brigham's name came first. Now, as you can see, it's a very modest monument. And what's significant about it, I think, is that it is a tribute to the men who died here, the Anglo-American men who died here, not to the battle itself. It's important to remember that in the late 19th century, monuments like this one, like Civil War monuments, like the Alamo, were funded by women. And women looked at the past or looked to the past for different reasons than men. For women, the lessons to be gained from the study of the past were moral lessons, not political ones. They were lessons about self-sacrifice, not lessons about political power. And the Alamo is a really good example of this too. The Alamo becomes the most famous shrine to Texas history in the early 1900s. And once again, women are very much involved in making the Alamo an important shrine for citizens of Texas. And that's something that we're going to be looking at in more detail today.